Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kastuba. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from beautiful Villa Vrindavan in Tuscany, Italy, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Kaustubha Das. Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to Sleep In Sunday. We're here with special guest Q&A answerer, His Holiness Sacinandana Swami. He's the light of our life, I think. Maharaj, you're the light of our life. We're happy to have you. Fun program. He told a great near-death experience story yesterday, hovering above his body. It was one of those moments where you really think, this stuff's all real. Here I am, hovering through a wall. This is real. Maharaj, it was a great story. It's so nice to have you close. I'm looking forward to more time with you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. It's always a great pleasure to be with the lovers of God.
So before we dive into Q&A day, if you're new to this, welcome to the show. We're here live with about 60 people. We have people from Slovenia here, Zoomers from Slovenia and Bologna and other places of Italy. It's an extra packed day because it's the Sunday feast at Villa Vrindavan. So we're super excited to pack it in here. And Miss Mara, do you have any announcements before we start this game?
I do. We have Bhakti Recovery Group meetings today at 9:30 a.m. and 7 p.m. Eastern time. And also we should announce there's no show tomorrow on Monday because we're headed to Cinque Terre. And Tuesday, maybe we'll do one from the road in the Alps. What do you think?
Tuesday. Oh, Tuesday's going to be tricky because we're driving to the Alps. Very tricky. We might miss Monday and Tuesday, but we're happy you're here today. How about that? How about we're happy for today?
And keep an eye on your Instagram post, maybe?
Yeah, keep an eye. I'll post something on my Instagram if it's happening for those who watch on Zoom. Okay, so I say without further ado, because everyone really liked the show. I got a lot of traction yesterday and feedback that people really liked. Bringing people up, getting to know people from our community, and hearing Maharaj's very solid answers to when we come to forks in the road. Who's first, Kaustubha? Who do we have?
Why don't we reach out to Talia actually first?
Talia, come on down. Talia from Israel. You're the first contestant. Talia, I'm going to give you the mic. I want you to talk right into the microphone. First of all, can you tell us sort of how old are you, where you're from, how you got into Bhakti briefly?
I'm Talia. I'm 20. I got into Bhakti through amazing people in Israel that did classes about Bhagavad Gita. And yeah, I was into yoga. And then I came to the classes, ate prasad. The cake is what made me come. The cake. Eat cake. Devotee's cake. That's amazing. And yeah. Question. Would you like to read it? Okay. I like you so much. Can you talk a bit about self-love and acceptance in the path of Bhakti? Because I feel like with all of the anarthas that come up, a lot of like self-judgment and criticism comes up, and it's hard for me to accept myself where I'm at, knowing that I have a lot more to go. And yeah.
Thank you so much for this very honest and a real question. Self-love and acceptance. Um, yeah. Who is the self? That is an important question. I think the Vedic scriptures tell us that the self is always loved. The true self, the soul, is the beloved child of immortality. There is a verse in one of the Vedas which says, "O beloved child of eternity, now listen." I believe when we deal with improvements, with self-love, with all these things, it's very important that we come really to that self and to peace, because only the false self is between various desires. So I always recommend to first go to the part which we call the real self, the unchanging self, that gives you a lot of relief, a lot of sweetness, so to say, and from there look to the false self and say, "Oh, my dear donkey brother, my dear monkey mind, can we sit and see how we can bring you more towards alignment with the real self?" Yes, in brief, self-realization of the real self and work on the false self, both must go on. And for working on the on our coverings and whatever happens there, the coverings of the real self, this therapy is definitely useful. We see more with the help of psychologically trained eye.
Thank you, Marsh. Who do we have next? Vayu Prabhu from Down Under. Welcome, Vayu, everybody. Haribo. Vayu just did a great art show over at McKelly's place, and we introduced him the other day on the show, and we're here now to ask a question. He's been a devotee since 1982, very senior and very realized, and we're happy to have you, Prabhu.
Hello, Maharaj. I'd like to get asking, what is the essence of love?
Wow. Let me buy some time by saying that yesterday I was in the exhibition of Vayu. He had various animals who communicated through an eye a very human message. It was a wonderful experience. And now to your question, the essence of love. On a simple basis, love has to be free from selfishness. It's then when you have love, when it's not constrained by the famous "what's in for me" thought, when it is when love comes from your heart like crystal clear mountain water and waters the plant of the other person, then lemons, mangoes, and so many fruits of love can happen. But first, it's selfless giving, really, without the thought what comes back to me, and then this phenomena which the whole world is after, which Hollywood is making movie after movie happens. This love happens in selfless giving, and then it comes and it tastes very sweet. We are here in this world often left with a version of something that goes for love, but which is so much pervaded with the selfish interest that never this phenomena of real love happens, and therefore people remain thirsty and may change partners. I have not yet gotten it, and so on. What the essence of real love in a spiritual sense is, it is ever surprising, ever new, full of wonderment. It is called rasa in the spiritual dimension. But let's train here in selfless giving, and then we will taste one day the rasa. Haribo.
So we're saying we got some, maybe turn off our cameras. They say the signal's a little choppy. Thanks, Mary. What do we got there, Mr. Costuba? Stellar Amy, one of our regular Zoomers from New Jersey. Come on down, Amy. Haribo. Amy, you look lovely. Beautiful outfit, beautiful Tulsi beads. Amy's from New Jersey. Briefly, your coming to Krishna, coming to wisdom sages, whatever you want to call it. Will you share where you're from, what you do, everything?
Maharaj. I'm very nervous all of a sudden. My name is... No need to be nervous. Thank you. My name is Amy Steller. I'm from New Jersey. I met Raghunath X amount of years ago, came for asana. That was my first experience chanting. And then Joe Rogan, and I'm a Zoomer every day since. And I'm really grateful to be here. So this question came up because of this trip and how amazing this trip is, and every moment is magical. And one of the 5 things that you said of Bhakti is the association. And this trip has really sealed that, how I love all of you so much. And your association is really the most important takeaway that I have from the trip. So going home, how do I make the decision, or what do I do about friends, family, loved ones that are not part of this path? Because now I'm thinking, going back, I'm not going to have that association like I do now.
Good question. Very good question. Very good. And you brought it out very nicely. Yes. There is a very interesting comment on this by the teacher of my own spiritual master, who said that through literature, spiritual literature, you can associate with the author. He spoke of reading and the author, and associating with the author. So when you have the Bhagavatam, for instance, the Bhagavatam is packed full with good association. Shukadev Goswami, Vidura, Sutta Goswami, Maitreya Muni. It's really packed. And by reading their answer, try to read the author. In what circumstances were there in their life that made them ask the questions which appear in the Bhagavatam? What do they imply with their answers? So Also, there is the curse and the blessings of the online media. The curse is you can get totally distracted. The blessing is you can have a lot of good association. You can Zoom call with your friends. You can see have chats. There is now something like this wisdom of the sages groups. I think we call them sages group, where you have association and talk your heart out. I have once seen a sage group, people were even crying in the little windows, having, in other words, the palpable effect of personal association. What to do with the loved ones? How to associate with those dear ones who may not show an active interest in spiritual life. Yes. Be kind to them and speak through your example. Sometimes example speaks so much louder than words will ever do. There is a saying that I can't hear what you say because what you do speaks so loud to me. Giving a good example is really, let me say, a very good way to have some positive effect on those loved ones who are personally perhaps not showing, I like this English word, active interest of spiritual life. Maybe there's something there, but at that time, no words, but a good example speaks very loud. Thank you.
All right. I like this, Maharaj brought up this point, active interest. So you might be going on in your newfound love for Krishna, and it appears that everybody around you they're uninterested, they couldn't care less, but you never know who's actually just internalizing your transformation and appreciating, but they're showing no active interest. And I've found that in my own life, and I'm sure you have too, that sometimes when you least expect it, a person who's been sort of your friend but not interested, all of a sudden they become very, very interested. And it is exactly what you said. They actually see your transformation. And without you even being so much preaching at them, you're demonstrating a better way, and they want a piece of that as well. We have now to welcome Vanessa from Switzerland. Welcome, Vanessa. Vanessa, can you share a little bit about your backstory, how you got into Bhakti, how you got into Wisdom of the Sages, why you're here, et cetera, et cetera. And it's been great having you guys here.
Thank you. I was introduced to Bhakti through my partner Thorsten, who is also here with us. And he kept asking me to read the Bhagavad Gita, since I was a yoga teacher as well. He introduced me also to the podcast, and we attended a workshop after your first Italy retreat in Zurich. Then I came last year for the Italy retreat, and now it's my second time.
Welcome back.
Yeah. So my question is, through the podcast and also here at the retreat, we can see and experience that Raghunath and Kaustubha are very good friends supporting each other. And also this morning we heard that good friend. Also this morning we heard that good friends, how they can give advice and support through tough times. So my question is, how can we be a good Bhakti friend? Because sometimes we can be afraid to give honest advice. How can we overcome that fear and support each other in an honest and kind way? And how can we support friends or family members who are not on the same spiritual path?
I would say, because here are two friends sitting, you should talk about it, and then I might like to add something in the beginning.
As soon as you said that thing about I can't remember how you phrased it, but how do you tell someone, or me and Kosuba, because we have a deep relationship, I know that whenever he says something about me, that if I need to change something, I know he's not speaking for my ego, his ego. He's speaking because he wants the best. He has my best interest. And so when you have, I feel like that's part of good friendship is you can say, hey, that really bothered me when you did that. And you don't feel like they're trying to like take you down. They have some agenda. I feel very comfortable if Kostuba's got a problem with something I'm doing, I want to correct it because I love him. So I think that's like a very important thing, is to have those friendships in Bhakti. And part of it is it starts very simple. You have people that you can share your heart with. Sometimes publicly you're not going to share your heart, but privately you can say, you know, I'm struggling here. And this ability to be vulnerable, not with the entire world necessarily, but with one or two friends. That's important. It's important for you, but it's important to find a person that can hold that space and not be some blabbermouth. Oh yeah, Kostuba's going through hell. You know, we don't want to. You should, right? If you only knew what Kostuba's going through, right? You need someone. If Kostuba's going to share something with me, I have to be able to hold it for him, and vice versa. And then when I see, oh, he's not just looking for good gossip, he actually really cares about me, then that encourages me to share more. If you don't have that, you'll go through all the motions of being a devotee, but without being able to empty your cup. We're in a place where it's safe. Sometimes you'll find that you just need to talk about things. It's not such a big deal. And sometimes in a group of devotees, you want to present your A game. But unless we share what's going on in our heart, we tend to bury it with a persona or a facade. And then we live what's called a duplicitous life, where publicly I'm showing up like this, but inside there's a lot of inner turmoil. So from the very get-go, we need not just our spouse or our partner, but other friends also. And it doesn't have to be a million, but in my life, I know there's a few people that are like my peers that I also look at as like gurus, people I can share with, friends. And then there's seniors that I have in my life that I can go, I'm going through hell right now. What do you think I should do? Or just, can you hear me while I share? And that ability to share in confidence and listen in confidence when someone's coming to you is a big, deep part of friendship. That's what I say.
Thank you, Raghunath. Everything Raghunath said was on my mind too. Every point he said is very important. And I was also thinking that there are certain people in both of our lives that we really respect. And from those people, we've learned how important our friendship is. And it kind of, having those kind of, there are different types of relationships in general, and in Bhakti, they're spoken about in three categories. There's relationships that you have with people that are like your seniors. There's relationships you have with people like your juniors. And then there are relationships that you have with people that are like your peers. And there's a different yogic etiquette to how you relate to each one of them. It's really valuable to learn this and to practice it. It makes a big difference in life. It's there in all. If you read Srimad Bhagavatam, Mahabharata, Ramayana, you see people follow these kind of etiquettes, and it's not like an artificial etiquette. It's an etiquette that allows one heart to flow to another, allows instruction to flow from one to another, allows blessings to flow from one to another, allows friendship and care to flow from one person to another. So like Raghunath and I have heard so much from these people that we've learned to value this relationship. And we learned that nothing little should ever get in the way. Nothing little, we would be embarrassed to stand before our seniors and say, oh, I don't talk to Raghunath anymore because he said this or he did that. They would be looking at me like, come on, like you're being silly now. This is too valuable a thing. So that's a really valuable kind of caring pressure that exists, and And I describe Raghunath in my relationship as very durable. Like, we disagree on a daily basis. You know, so a lot of times we do it on the show. and rarely, but occasionally it gets a little heated, right? Maybe like once a year or something, we kind of like get into it. But we both know we love each other, and we know that these things come and they go. They're insignificant. They blow over. You get in a different mood. You work it out, you know, and you understand that that our connection is more important than any little detail. You know, this is a relationship that should never be broken. Right? We can't be so petty and foolish that we would allow something valuable like this to break it. So when you start to have that kind of relationship with someone, then you're not afraid to say what you have to say. You mentioned, I think, being afraid to, and sometimes to get there, all you have to do is just say those things that we feel a little vulnerable saying. You know, like in the Bhakti circles, it's kind of like it encourages you to be open and share these things. But in a lot of our relationships, we're a little embarrassed or feel a little inhibited to kind of say, "Hey, man, I need you in my life." You know, especially amongst men, I think maybe especially it may be hard to do that. But if you can, and Raghunath mentioned, you don't, like, I have a lot of friends. If I listed all my friends, I mean, it's a lot. When you get in a Bhakti community like this, you make friends with a lot of people because you have this common interest. But I have just a few in my life that I'll really open up and share what I'm going through, what trouble, or that I feel the freedom to come right out forward and say, "Hey, I'm a little concerned about you." So you want to at least cultivate 2 or 3 of those kind of relationships, open up with those people, let them know that I want this kind of relationship with you, you know, and maybe I can serve you in the same way. So I think it may take a little bit of that openness and a little bit of that common understanding of the importance of this. I once heard a devotee that I really respect, and he said this instruction, and I've held this instruction in my mind ever since and tried to live by it. And he said, never break a relationship with another Vaishnava, with another Bhakti yogi. It's just like, you know, commonly we'll get to a point in a relationship due to some circumstance, we say, I don't talk to that person anymore. That person's not my friend anymore. But a Vaishnava actually never does that. You know, they know that we're all shifting through these different circumstances in life, and those circumstances, they blow over us like clouds. They're here one day and then they're gone, and then you're looking at each other again. Why say things or take stands? Sometimes you may have to distance yourself a little from someone, but you don't break the relationship. And so within the Bhakti communities, there is an understanding of the value, the importance of this, and there's instructions about how to practice it. That we give gifts to each other, we receive gifts from each other, we give food to each other, we accept food from each other. And maybe the most difficult one, and maybe the most important one, we open up our minds, we open up our hearts to one another, we hear from the other. It's your question is such an important one because it gets to such a essential part of what it means to practice bhakti. But I think if one can openly speak about these things and share, if you say, I want to be a friend to you like that, and I feel having your friendship would be really important in my life, most people are going to be touched by that. And then if you share that openly, then you've already taken big steps towards having that kind of relationship. But I would like to hear what Maharaj has to say.
Before Maharaj speaks, I just want to say I want to deepen our friendship, and I'd like you to give me a gift and some prasad.
I would be happy to do that, Raghunath. That's how it works. And then you'll give me some, right? Is that selfishness Maharaj was talking about in the previous question? Love, pure love.
Maharaj, enlighten us.
I can only say that the gift of spiritual friendship is something which great spiritualists have eulogized and praised. It's very, very helpful, very, very helpful. And Rupa Goswami, in this ancient book, guidebook, you could call it, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, says, gives a few guidelines how to find such a friend. But I feel on a practical level you have shared very nicely with us. I see. It's very important that we bring the ancient teachings into our daily experience and make it wisdom that breathes. I think your relationship shows this, and I have seen Raghunath and Kostuba disagreeing on the Wisdom of the Sages podcast, and I have felt, well, this is real friendship. They are not afraid of of being dislodged or dismissed. So I don't want to say here any high-sounding things about Sniktas, yeah, and there's this verse. You have expressed it very nicely.
Thank you so much. Is that okay, Vanessa?
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Oh, Vanessa. Sham Kishore here? Sham Kishore. Is Sham Kishore here, your dad? He's not. He's coming. Is he coming? All right, we'll put him. What else we got?
We have a question that's coming from like a group of people from Bhakti recovery. So this is people that are following 12-step addiction recovery, and in a Bhakti context. So the question is this: for many people in recovery, the motivation to stay sober is the fear of the disaster if they don't, right? We are wondering how people stay motivated in Bhakti without that fear of hitting the rock bottom, because they're just so familiar with that kind of tension, keeping them on the straight and narrow, that from that perspective, and be like, what does it look like when you're not worried about, what keeps you fixed?
Good question, good question.
I would say it's hope to reach the very positive and promised results in the scriptures. I acknowledge the value of those who are trying to steer away from heroin and these heavy addictions, which other heavy addictions, they must say, oh my God, if I don't do this, I will be in the hellish planets again. But for spiritual life, you shouldn't engage so much with the negative. You should engage with the positive. It's called the positive path. And the way this is done in Bhakti is you study from the scriptures, the beauties of the spiritual world. You hear from devotees their experiences. You make your experiences while you chant, and you say, I want this again and more of it. Or you go on a pilgrimage and you find your direct access to the Lord. So in Bhakti, it's very, very, very important to not think about what you want to leave behind, but to think what you wish to attain. And as you think about this more and more and more and more, you become that. Think of the butterfly, of the caterpillar, who goes into the cocoon. Poetically, it is described that he is thinking about how he will roam the sky and drink the nectar as a butterfly. So he doesn't think about what he leaves behind. He thinks he is somehow genetically programmed to imbibe that what he shall become. And that's so important. If we could learn that in our lives, for instance, focus. I just said you are looking at the positive. Now this could also be twisted by your mind into something bad. that you think, oh, I'm not good enough, I'm not yet there, oh no, I'm Mr. Useless or Mrs. Super Useless, and so on. You could become self-loathing. No, when it comes to measuring your progress, you are not thinking in Bhakti what you have not yet attained, but you think of what you have been gifted with at the moment. Always in whatever stage you are, in whatever thing you station you are in Bhakti, fill your mind with the positive spiritual reality. Don't mill around with the, oh, I'm not good enough, oh, I have not attained this, oh, nothing ever good comes my way. Then you will remain firmly chained down to material existence. Trying to speak English here.
You know, I never thought about, like, you always think of, oh yeah, the negative, like, I don't want to slide backwards, this is horrible, Maya's so terrible, or addiction's so terrible. But yeah, like why do we scuba dive? It's not just not to now I'm going to scuba dive so I can breathe. No, I'm going to scuba dive so I can go through adventures and see beautiful fish and find buried treasure. That's why I'm scuba diving. You don't just do it not to breathe. There's a positive with all this. Thank you, Maharaj. That's a great way to spin it. Good question, Bhakti Recovery Group. Did Sham Kishore show up yet? No? All right.
I got a question from Celine.
From Celine, who's on the bus right now. Okay, Celine she was here. She had to go. She lives in, where does she live? In Bern or Basel? Bern, Switzerland. Bern.
Okay, Marsh. Oh, this is a far-out question. Yeah. Because yesterday, both Sacinandana Swami and Raghunath talked about out-of-body experiences, live testimonies. And so this question is in relation to that. Celine writes, in the past few years, I've been present when loved ones left their body, and I could feel that their soul was leaving. I could also feel that their presence in my life in the days and weeks after they had left. I could also feel their presence in my life for days or for weeks after they had left, and somehow even now. My question is, what journey does the soul take after leaving the body? Does it go to the heavenly planets right away if it has achieved that level? Or in the case of reincarnation, does it go into new body right away? When does the soul enter into the body? In the womb or before? Do some souls linger around in the material world invisible to us? And why?
That's yeah. You have asked many a multifaceted question, a very rich question. There are so as many scenarios as there are people. It is always very individual. I would like to say something here about one of my secretaries who was an angel. Those who knew her know this. She left perhaps 10 years ago, and she was very, very, I still remember, the doctor came in to the emergency room. You know, there in the hospital, there is a room where those are assembled who will soon leave the body. And there are only curtains between them because the doctors need to quickly pass. And so the doctor came and he switched off all the machines. And we looked at him and he said, there's nothing we can do any longer. So it was clear she would go, and it was clear to everyone. So we began chanting. We had been chanting for a long time already, for 8 hours. And then came that moment where she came out of her coma. She opened her mouth, her eyes, there was so much light around her, and she left the body. That was very glorious, very glorious. However, she was so attached to her service that we felt her around for 2 more weeks. And she gave us a sign that she was around, that one tree that under which she always did her meditations, the top of the tree just broke. And we understood, wow, she gives us a sign that she is around. And I do remember at that time, we said, but you have to leave, you know, that this, yes, the service in this world is very good, but you might have to do service in the other world. She was very attached to the here and now. And we asked many, there are ceremonies which can be done. That is reading for 7 days the Bhagavatam. In Vrindavan this was done. And I was, this is very, I hope I can express it nicely. I'm a little moved as I talk. I was on a what is your country called? America, on an America tour. And I was in the airport of tell me, not New York, Newark or something?
Newark, New Jersey.
Newark, New Jersey. And I was extremely tired, so I went behind the seats and took a gentleman rest there on the floor. And then all of a sudden, this great devotee appeared to me. She was even more full of light, and she said, "Thank you that you have arranged the reading of the Bhagavatam for me. I do understand that there is that I have to leave this service which I liked so much, and I should go on forward. And now I can go. Thank you what you did for me." And she went with style. Yeah, that was very, very, very nice. So in this, what I tell you here is the consciousness at the moment of death, which is an accumulation of what you did. You can't say, "Oh, yes, I will do nonsense all my life, and at the moment of death, I will just recite the Bhagavatam. I will be in the most exalted consciousness," and so on. No, it's an accumulation. And then it depends where you go. But you always go where your consciousness is fixed. Like all of you, the time will come here where you will depart from here. I think on Wednesday is the time of Tuesday already. And I think you have already something in your mind where you will go. You have also earned your tickets, and you will go to your respective destinations, which are already there. This is one of the answers, but there were so many questions, and I have forgotten them all. Yeah, it's good enough. Yeah.
Who else do we have? That was great. Great answer. Great answer. Sham Modi, come on down. Yes, it's your turn. Sham Kishore. You got to come here and ask your question. Oh, it's your question. Well, we've been waiting for Sham this entire time. Well, come on up, Rasamrita. Okay, we have Rasamrita Modi, Haribo. So Rasamrita is the daughter of Yadubar and Vishaka. Have we had them on the show yet? Oh my gosh. Oh yeah. We love your parents, and we love you and your husband, and we love your son, Kunj Bihari. So please, any other relatives we can love? And Rasamrita, tell them where you're from, what you're doing here, and your question.
She's also a Sage Group leader with her husband.
So grateful to be here. It's a really, really incredible retreat and really enjoying it, and so grateful. You guys are doing such amazing, amazing things. Maharaj, I'm so grateful to you. You're such an inspiration. And I so much appreciate your incredible humility, honesty, sincerity, always wanting to give to others. It's so incredibly inspiring, and so grateful that you were at our wedding 20 years ago. That was your first trip to America, I remember. And we had the honor of having you at our wedding. So grateful to you. My question is, I forgot to say where I'm from, all that. From Alachua. Grateful to live in the devotee community there. And grateful to be with the devotees, and just so much enrichment comes in life from devotees. And really that's Krishna's arrangement of how he gives his mercy is through the devotees. So we have so much to learn from you, Maharaj, and I just wanted to ask you, you made such an incredible choice in your life to dedicate your whole life to Bhakti, to Krishna, to your Guru. And how did you make that choice?
Do you mean specifically as a sannyasi?
Yeah.
Yes, it means a lot for me that you are asking the question. My answer to this is, I think I followed up on something which came to me in this life. I very distinctly remember, and perhaps I have shared it here already, that in my childhood I would always try to climb the highest tree, which was a problem to my problem, because I knew how to get up, but to get down is much more difficult, and you see the ground all the time and you get scared and so on. And I carried to this day a mark on my spine on the back, where I won't show it in the computer, where I fell from a tree. So my parents, who often had to send the fire brigade to save me, they asked me, why do you do this? And I said, listen, I want to be as close as possible to God. That was my answer as a child. So I believe I followed up on that. I remembered that when I was young, I looked into different forms of meditation. And when I finally met devotees, and let me say, I admired that they really had left and started a new life. This was not a compromised, wishy-washy version of spirituality. It was frightening to me, but very attractive. I used to, when I met devotees, I was a little bit frightened of the consequence, because I felt the pull of my heart. But to dance with bed sheets on the street, that didn't look so so attractive to me. I was afraid but pulled. Often the things you are afraid of, they have a lot of power. So yes, I had a few encounters with the devotees, and then I was, these early days were not easy for any one of us. I remember we had in the early days not even personal cloth. We would give the shirts which were worn onto a pile. It was all carried to the laundromat, and then when it came back, we took whatever was there. We called that the Brahma Jyoti, and we fished we had no personal private possession. Now it's no longer that strict, but I was scared. I admit it. But when I saw, so this is what it is. I was scared. I remained scared for quite some time. But I said to myself, let me give it 1 year of trying. Then I can go to Hawaii and enjoy. So after 1 year, I thought, well, I have made now so many spiritual realizations. I have changed so much. I can't deny it. Okay, but for a lifelong decision, I'm not yet ready. Let me spend 1 more year in an ashram, and then if it's still good after 1 year, then I will prolong my stay. In other words, I did not just jump into it, and I can only recommend this to everyone. Follow where your taste is. Follow where your realizations are. Orient your life on this. Don't. Perhaps not. It's not everyone's path to be a monk and to do this. It became my path after I had invested it and gotten so many confirmations, signs, realizations. Yeah. And I would like to say one more thing to which I'm grateful. If you want to reach a higher type of life, associate with those who have already reached it. And something will come from them in your heart, some strengths, some realizations, some support, and it will be easy.
We have time for one more, people? We have time for one more? It's 3 o'clock. Is it 3 o'clock? Yeah, it is 3 o'clock. Should we do one more? We just have one left. What do you say? Okay, let's do it. Mars, is that okay?
Yes.
Yuli, come on down, Yuli. Yuli from Israel, everybody. Haribo. Another Israeli on the trip. Yuli, what's your story? Tell us your story, where you're from, what you're doing.
My name is Yuli. First of all, thank you, Maharaj. The pleasure to be around you and all of the devotees here. Thank you. Story short. 30 years old from Israel. I met the devotees, I think, 8 years ago. I was in a big depression, looking for meaningful things through other paths. And then one of my friends told me that she is going to Bhagavad Gita class. She said it was the teacher called it the Indian Torah class. This how, yes. And it was a Bhagavad Gita class. And since then, like, everything changed. Yeah, since I met him. Yeah. Oh, yeah, maybe it will. Thank you. Okay. So sometimes I'm thinking that because I don't want Krishna enough, it's a little bit related to what you said before. My attachments are still here, or I can't even see most of them because I don't advance enough in spiritual life. But by thinking this, why I engage in blaming myself, and my problems become even bigger. Like I cover Krishna more in self-centered. It's like the other part of the coin or something like this. Yeah. So I'm trying to figure out like what I'm missing here, because I know that it's a little bit misunderstanding.
Yeah. Good question. Very good question. Very good question. I would just say it in one sentence. Think more about the mercy of Krishna than about your own weaknesses. And then you will get hope and move forward with enthusiasm. What would the, what I think, yeah.
That was simple, but sometimes the best answers are right to the heart. Think more about the mercy than about our own shortcomings. I think we all have to do that. Is that okay?
Thank you.
And that's it. That's the time. We got all the questions down. Thanks, Yuli. Thanks, Maharaj. Big thanks to Maharaj for everybody. Haribo. All of his love he's given this whole region. And thank everybody here live. We got a big full crowd, a big full house at Villa Vrindavan today. Tomorrow's our last day. We're going to have to miss it tomorrow because we're going to Cinque Terre. There's 5 beautiful cities, villages on cliffs with crystal clear water below us. Very excited for that. And then the next day, because Stu and myself are driving to the Austrian Alps for a big kirtan getaway. Looking forward to that. Maharaj, thanks for giving so much light. Thanks to everybody listening on Zoom. I know we have a crazy schedule and you're still showing up. And thanks to all the others out there. If you want to join us, if you've heard this for the first time, you can follow us wherever you get podcasts or YouTube. Remember to follow us, like us, subscribe to us, comment, all that stuff. Let the magic continue to flow. It's a beautiful day for a beautiful day. Haribo!
All the best for you. Haribo!